Hey, and welcome to another Tea Break Coach. So my plan today was to talk to you about hope and optimism. So I love February. The New Year hype's out the way, you've recovered after Christmas and you're back into it. And for me, it feels like such a positive and energising part of the year. So great to plan, great to think about the future and so on. So I was going to do this post about hope and optimism and literally look at it. It's blowing a gale. You can see my light that you can never see because the flat we rent for 100 bricks and that I use for my executive coaching is so beautiful. There's so much natural light that you can never see that. So literally, events have conspired against me and I don't really feel very optimistic or hopeful. And I just think you'd be able to see it on my face. So you know that phrase I love, if you can't hide it, feature it? That's what I thought I'd do today. I thought we'll talk about what happens in your brain when you feel like events are conspiring against you and you get like irrationally cross about the weather being crap, because it gives me a great opportunity to talk about how your brain works in those situations. So this is also a great moment to remember sphere of influence. So I can't control the weather, I can't influence the weather, so any time I spend fuming about the weather is a total waste of brain fuel. We've got a card on sphere and it's also in It's Not Bloody Rocket Science. But back to threat. We've got a Paleolithic threat response when we're certain about something and then suddenly the opportunity to do the thing that we've planned disappears, often through no fault of our own. Now, you'll have heard me talk a lot about the prefrontal cortex, because what happens when our certainty is taken away from us is that it can trigger a threat response, a desire to fight, flight, freeze or appease. And my natural threat response, I'm afraid, is fight. I get really cross about things like, ugh! Now, we talk about all of the threat responses in It's Not Bloody Rocket Science. And actually, I've got a new model called preface or preface, which talks about the other things that can trigger that threat response. A certainty isn't the only trigger. So there are other things that can make you rage or shut down or drift into this weird autopilot, and maybe I'll cover those next time. But what happens in your brain is really simple. The prefrontal cortex, the bit of your brain here, was the last bit of your brain to evolve, so it's really small anyway and quite needy. And it deals with all your rational cognitive thinking. It's the clever bit of your brain, the bit you use for decision making and to plan things. So when you go into threat mode, when your certainty has disappeared, the blood and oxygen leave the prefrontal cortex and instead they go to your extremities. You know, the blood and oxygen travel together to make your heart pump faster, or to your fists or to your muscles to make you feel really tense. But because you've only got a finite amount of blood and oxygen in your brain and body, there's an issue. Now you can see here that Brix is wired up to a blood transfusion monitor and an oxygen tank, but in reality that's just not possible. We've only got a finite amount that's shared around our body and our organs. So when that blood and oxygen is diverted to make you feel tense, the blood and oxygen leave your prefrontal cortex. The result is you can't think straight when you feel tense or cross. You don't have enough blood and oxygen in your prefrontal cortex to do so. So today, if like me, something's threatened your sense of certainty, and it's not something you can control or influence, do what I'm doing. Take a deep breath, reframe, and do something else. Because in doing something else that you enjoy, that blood and oxygen gets kind of sucked back up to your prefrontal cortex. And just in talking to you today, and in choosing my favourite mug that my daughter bought me rather than my branded one, I just feel a bit better about life. And I hope you do as well. So have a good day, whatever today chucks at you.